Hey guys, Jay-Sensei here again. This can be what if Luffy's fruit awakening happened when we first ate it, or if Luffy's fruit awakened immediately. So with this, basically, the reason Luffy's fruit, well first, you guys want to know what his fruit was awakening is basically, well one, this manga spoilers ahead, and two, well I'm going to go over this fruit. Actually, it's not the Gomu Gomu no Mi. It's for its properties of rubber, but it has nothing to do with rubber. So basically, manga kind of basically said that Luffy's fruit isn't acting like how rubber should. So yeah, but that does get like a hint. But eventually, you see the Godu say in a chapter basically say they renamed a fruit, and that led on to them revealing the name of Luffy's fruit being a zone type human fruit model sun god Nika or human fruit model Nika. If you're not me, say it slow. So yeah. So with this, basically, we'd have Luffy actually being a zone user, which is kind of ironic because I'm watching a few arcs, and he told Momonosuke straight up, "I'm not a zone user," which either may have been foreshadowing or Oda didn't think far enough ahead to reveal Sun God Nika. So yeah, but without Oda I guarantee he thought ahead. I honestly think he just wasn't thinking for one chapter, or just forgot to mention that Luffy, or just forgot to write a line. But yeah, it doesn't matter. So with this, so Luffy would basically just, well, he has that, we can just move on to Luffy's awakening now happening. The reason Luffy's fruit awakens is the fact that he's a reincarnation of Joy Boy, so with him being the reincarnation, he eating the fruit, has the fruit awaken immediately. But with that, Luffy did, like awaken his fruit. Shanks did see that this was an awakening. Whether or not Shanks knew about Nika right now wouldn't really matter, as I don't think he would know at this point. Maybe in the future he would, but not currently. Actually, he attacked a marine ship for this fruit, so I guarantee you he knew. So assuming he did know, Luffy probably stunned Shanks with this fruit, or Shanks was stunned by Luffy with this fruit. But when he was nice return, but we're saying Luffy basically beat down Huma and all his bandits. So yeah. So this, Luffy basically is the victor. And eventually he did pass out, and when the time he woke up, it's like a week later, and Shanks and his crew already left. But Luffy woke up, saying a note, and then a straw hat placed on his chest. Luffy stood up, reading the note, tearing up, and then put on the straw hat. Then says to become a pirate even better than Shanks. And off this, Luffy's awakening actually gave him better access to his gears a lot earlier. Like his body was like already fine tuned for the gears with this. Like the fruit acknowledged Luffy as its like supposed use, or it's the use that it's supposed to have. So Luffy is able to actually awaken the gears a lot earlier. By the time Garp does arrive, Luffy had like, just recently awakened Gear Second, but he can't really use it too much, as it makes him cough up blood. Makino told him don't use it like that. So yeah, we show up to Garp. Garp's pretty impressed, and then actually been training Luffy for like the whole time that he should have been with Ace and Sabo. By the time that Luffy's canonically beat up by Chemi, that's when like his training with Garp would end. That's mainly to teach Luffy a technique via Rokushiki. Because I don't know if Garp taught Kobe and Helmappo Rokushiki or his right hand man on his ship, but I'd assume probably it's Garp because we mainly see Garp training him with his right hand man by his side. But I don't know if it's like, oh yeah, Garp's right hand man knows all Rokushiki, or Garp just knows how to teach Rokushiki. But yeah. So with this, we just see Luffy, who will be able to be briefly taught Soru to substitute Gear Second. But eventually, Garp actually does give Luffy physical training, so Luffy would test out Soru in the Great Terminal against Port Chemi specifically, and then beat him up. It took a while, but he still was able to do it. But he saved Ace and Sabo, then Garp began training Ace and Sabo alongside Luffy, and then the bandits were just like watching this training go about. But Garp basically began training like Ace, Sabo, and Luffy for like the Rokushiki because that's like one thing he wanted them to do. But eventually, the time that they'd canonically meet Nagari, Garp had actually just recently left. Luffy began training with Soru a lot earlier, so he got the grasp of it earlier. But he had been training them like basically physical and education. Those are the two things he trained them with. So Luffy and Ace and Sabo are actually decently intelligent now. Well, Sabo's already decently intelligent. Luffy and Ace are decently intelligent now. So they're pretty average for their age. But Luffy can use Soru and a bit of Tech Eye. He's still practicing. And Ace and Sabo can only do Soru. So Luffy began doing it like almost 2 months earlier. So he had a bit more training with it. He was actually able to control Devil Fruit a bit better and even use Gear Second. But other than meet Nagari, well, they've been training with Nagari and just keep on training. Luffy is able to actually unlock Tech Eye with him. And, yeah. So with this, when it came down to Sabo's dad trying to get Sabo away, the one that Ace and Luffy are captured from behind, Luffy and Ace both just use Soda and disappear, and Sabo uses Soda as well, and they just kick out all the guards faster than they can even see. So this just shows how fast they are with really no effort. When Sabo's dad is scared off and runs back into the kingdom, and then just stays there telling them that Sabo is a hoodlum now, telling Sabo's mother and adopted brother. Sabo's aware he has an adopted brother because his dad mentioned it, or just basically says something along the lines of, "Huh, your brother's adopted and is even better than you." And he's like walking off with him. So yeah, but Sabo's really no interest in meeting his brother or hearing about him. But yeah. Now, eventually, Sabo does stay with the Straw Hat. That's Strass. He stays with Ace and Luffy. We go into the Great Terminal Fire, but Luffy is actually helping people escape by using Soda and getting them somewhere safe, like near the ocean mainly. Or like near the ocean, near the forest. And then, eventually, as he helps someone near the shore, he sees a ship there. He thought they started, so he realized that it was Blue Jam, like he remembered it was. And these guys don't look like they're part of Blue Jam's crew, they look too intimidating. So, Luffy looked up, and the man actually put a hand out, and then another man, that was like, the man on the ship put his hand down, and then the guy that Luffy had helped, got pulled aboard. The man immediately just will look at Luffy, recognizing who he was. Luffy actually asked the man who he was. That's just stereotypical curiosity. And with this, the man then says, "You don't need to know my name, but just know I am your father." He turns away, and even Ivankov is amazed. I just, wait, what? That's your kid? But before you even question anything, the man turned around saying, "Wink." I'm just, oh yeah, death wink. And then they're shot away. So, yeah. Luffy's blown through the Great Terminal by this, because it's so close up. But still, the Great Terminal fire is gone because of that wink and because of Luffy's speed. But Luffy was able to have Makino get Garp to come to them, and Luffy tells Garp about what he just heard from that mysterious man. And Garp is just shocked. So, yeah. Pause. So, yep, so Garp basically explains to Luffy who his father is, and then he explains to Sabo, and then explains to Ace. But then Luffy also brings up something to Garp about, how Luffy feels like he's tapping into a different kind of power. Garp questions with this is Luffy just explains, the whole, muscle with the bone expansion thing. Sabo was able to steal Luffy a book for his, physical body, just basic learning. And Luffy did about the whole bone thing, and then Luffy does realize that his whole body can basically stretch or expand. Bones could be next. Luffy actually wants Garp to be there to see it. So Luffy actually thinks of some way to expand his bones. Then that's when Luffy bites into his thumb, or basically makes a bite, but the way he bit it would basically kind of lead to a small puncture wound in the bone. It does hurt Luffy a lot, but he blows into it, and then eventually Luffy's but his bone does expand, and Luffy does show this off. Everyone punches a tree down, and then with that force, he punches down multiple trees. Garp is just in shock by this, but still. So Garp does tell Luffy to be careful about this, because he says Gear Second took a major, Gear Second mainly affects the blood flow. This is impacting bones, which is still pretty bad. So he makes sure to tell Luffy to be careful with this. So Luffy does do as Garp says, and Garp begins teaching them a bit more things. Basically, he finished up the Rokushiki training with them all being able to master Tekai and Soru. With how hard Garp is training them, they also just learn a bit of martial arts. Luffy sticks to karate and stuff like that. Sabo sticks to just bojutsu, and then Ace sticks to boxing or whatever. Let me check this real quick. Yeah, we can say that basically Luffy's karate, Sabo, bojutsu. And then we have Ace who does boxing or something. So I can say it's Ace doing boxing or taekwondo, honestly. So Ace would do one of those. I'll say boxing. So eventually going to Ace and Sabo are about 17. And Sabo was able to gather info on merchant ships and where a rumor of the revolutionary base is, because he's heard about Dragon from Garp himself. So he knows the goal of the revolutionaries, and he's enjoying them. Sabo will follow the rumors and head to the revolutionaries. Sabo doesn't really need Haki through the New World. The Rokushiki are already uncommon enough, only among Cypher Pole agents, which is already rare enough. So he's basically able to take down a lot of people, even if he goes into the New World. But I don't think he is right now, so yeah. Ace eventually just makes his own crew that goes per normal. It's just a lot stronger than in canon. He also does get the Marimar Nomi. When he does fight Jinbei, the fight ends a lot faster. Like the fight lasted 5 days. Ace makes the fight 2 days with how strong he got from Garp's training. So yeah. But when he does arrive, Jinbei was already on the ground, just beaten up again. And he asks Ace if he did this to Jinbei. And Ace just nods. And then Ace begins fighting the rest of Whitebeard's crew, and then beat them all down. So, yeah. By the time he's done, we can just move on. So with this, we go all the way on to, I guess you can say, like, I honestly don't know, probably just when Luffy leaves. When Luffy leaves, like, he's, like, a lot of that trip remains pretty similar in the East Blue. But it's when he meets Zoro, well, he just wants to beat down all the Marines in the base just because he knows he can. He just barges in, then punches them all out like they're nothing. So, like, Kobe's there with him, but Kobe sees Luffy fighting them all. But Luffy's fighting style is more just technique and acrobatic based, and just basic freestyle fighting. So, yeah. But eventually they are, like, able to defeat everyone with relatively... Luffy is. But I mean, doesn't beat everyone. He even beat Morgan. They just, like, one-tapped him. Then he brings Zoro's swords down, and then just gives them to Zoro. After you freeze him, of course. But then Luffy does tell Zoro that Zoro owes him now, and Zoro can repay the favor by joining his crew. And Zoro agreed. So, yeah. So with this, we can just go all the way on to, like, probably just Luffy and Zoro leaving to like, Orange Town, which goes pretty much the same. So Nami asks Luffy to, like, I guess, be her, like, to be like, her boss. Luffy agreed and basically one-tap both the guys in a split second before Nami can even see it happen. Luffy takes a little pirates up there. Luffy cocked his fist back, and then just went gear second. So Luffy yelled, "Gomu Gomu no jet pistol." And his fist hits the top of the building, but he used enough force, and then, he also had Tech Eye activated in that fist only. And then, of course, that let off a giant shockwave, basically destroys the whole top half of the building, sending Buggy's crew basically all into the ocean. I guess shockwave sent them all flying into the water. The water, or one of the Buggy's men just basically holds on to Buggy, being also like Kabaji holds on to him. But then I guess it's them flying mainly towards like one of them got sent flying towards Zoro, but yeah. And when they got sent flying, they eventually are able to basically use scraps of the building that they were on to basically keep them afloat. So with that, they're able to float over to Alvida, mainly like Kabaji, Moji, Richie. They use Richie as like a float occasionally. And Buggy. They all make their way to Alvida. And the crew just floats away somewhere else, the rest of the crew does. Buggy will find them later or abandon them, one of the two. But this, the whole pirate crew is dealt with, and Nami's just in amazement. So arrives asking if Luffy did that whole like just powerful punch thing. Luffy just did a thumbs up. So, yeah. Pause. So, yeah. Nami asks Luffy who he is. Luffy says his straw hat Luffy. He's a pirate. Nami's jaw drops, and she can already tell from that one punch Luffy's stronger than Arlong. That's already just a stated fact. It is stated fact, but also just common knowledge. That one punch that Luffy just did was obviously stronger than Arlong. Anything better than Arlong could do in a decade. Yeah, sure, he knows especially in karate, which is deadly, but Luffy's punch just no where Shiki is, but he simply just did that with no effort. Right? Luffy will gear second now with how much he's trained it. Like, he's trained it for, exactly a decade now. Probably a little under that, probably like 6 years and 10 months. But 6 year training with gear second, basically, Luffy can treat gear second how Goku treats Super Saiyan. It is literally just as powerful as his base form. Like, gear second is basically just on and off with no effect to his body anymore because of how often he does use it. Like, yeah, he'll have like, in fact, in the long run, but with how long one of these characters can live if they're certified superhumans, Luffy, if he lives if he's Dr. Kureha level superhuman, probably even more than that. Luffy's lowest lifespan will probably be Dr. Kureha's age, probably even like 120 at the like. Unless they give Luffy the basic shonen protagonist, you're gonna have to die for the sake of the end of the series. Luffy's gonna die at like 60 if it's that, but then if it's just old age, 100 to 120 at the youngest, I'd say that. But either way. So Nami does just tag on with Luffy, but they take Buggy's ship after the villagers offered to repaint it instead of giving them money or food. So yeah. Now for like an hour, they'll just repaint the ship, and Luffy sails away. So he sails away with Nami and Zoro, and then they clear out all the buggy stuff by giving it to the villagers to sell. They also have buggy giant cannon thing, so they keep that. But Nami does say she knows how powerful that thing is, and when she has a thing, she has like a goal in mind for it. But eventually they find Usopp when it comes to Kuro. Well, eventually the arc remains the same until they have to fight Kuro, or Luffy does. When Kuro began like using like shave, Luffy just immediately began using like Soru, and then telling Kuro this is the mastered version of what Kuro's ability is. Kuro's just amazed that Luffy can do this, but see, because Luffy's like using it, punch Kuro in the back, use it again, punch Kuro in the jaw. He does that over and over again. So yeah. So with this, we can just move on to like, with that, we can just move on, I guess, just completely. This girl's beating up Zoro. Zoro turns to second, like gear second Luffy, because Luffy does have a habit of training to instilling that into him. Plus Luffy realizing that there's another way to get power, being like, oh yeah, with gear second, it's my blood flow. Gear third, my bones. What could be like gear fourth? Because he thinks of his muscles. He's working basically to get his muscles a bit bigger and stronger. And then he's going to plan on using gear fourth like that. So he turns to Zoro 24/7. Like Zoro will be like lifting like a 1-ton weight. Not weight. Let me check this real quick. So, Luffy beat Kuro. Zoro and Luffy train together. Zoro does train against Gear Second Luffy 24/7 because Luffy just wants to test out his strength. And then we see Zoro casually lifting like, people estimate Zoro can lift like millions of tons, which I honestly don't doubt. Because you see Zoro lifting like barbells that are like quadruple the size of his body, and then like, oh yeah, these are still plates that can weigh up to like 25 pounds or up to 100 pounds. But then multiply that by like 100, 200, and Zoro's lifting those like consecutively. So I'd say Zoro lifting a few million pounds isn't really that unbelievable. So yeah. But yeah, so Luffy and Zoro basically just like going like not blow for blow, but Luffy like has the edge of physical ability, but still they're really strong. But then Zoro also gets a speed and strength increase with Gear Second Luffy. Plus also Zoro's actually getting a better eyesight kind of ability, and actually reaction speed. Like his body is like advancing really fast with Luffy's training. Luffy's training with him. Then Usopp eventually is training to hit Luffy. Luffy doesn't admit it'd be good for Usopp trying to hit him at least. Luffy using Soru in his base form without Gear Second or anything, he's already catching up to Kanako Gear Second Luffy's speed, and he still has not gotten to the Brautier yet. So that just shows just a bit of his speed. Well, Gear Second Luffy is keeping speed with basically like Enel. So, Gear Second Luffy using Soru is keeping speed with Enel, who moves as fast as lightning does. So, yeah, Luffy's already just like there. So imagine how fast like post-time skip Luffy will be. But Luffy's awakenings are basically every single gear in one body or in one mode, so there's really no difference. I'm telling you right now, by the time that like Marine Sword rolls around, Luffy's already probably gonna be speed blitzing Kizaru. But yeah. So eventually the Strauss do get all the way over to basically the Brautier. That arc remains pretty similar. It's like, because there's really no difference. Until Zoro fights Mihawk is like the biggest difference. When Zoro fights Mihawk, Zoro's actually able to react and dodge a few attacks from Mihawk. Mihawk doesn't know that Zoro's like reaction speed, is strength and everything. Zoro may be able to even react to a lightning bolt and possibly just cut it. He just chuckled, making a joke, saying that Zoro is possibly able to cut lightning. Like, oh, you can probably cut a lightning bolt with that speed. Zoro may simply be too fast for lightning to conduct around with how fast he reacts to everything, which isn't really too undoubtable. But eventually, Zoro does get the same result in the fight with his blades breaking. So yeah. But so Zoro is cut down. The only difference is Nami doesn't leave. So they already have like ship that they didn't have, and there's already a bit of medical equipment on it, so they're able to patch up Zoro a bit better than in canon. Luffy already knows how to patch a bit of injuries due to just patching up himself. Ace and Saba Blizzard teaching them how to patch each other up if they get injured while training away from the bandits. So it was like basic medical procedures. It's just has to really get in there. But yeah, Luffy is in this qualified. He's like qualified in like treating like slight oh, imagine like you fall down like a small hill, cut your knee or something. Like he's supposed to be like treating like basic like broken bones, stuff like that. Not getting cut from Jack Kill Mihawk. He doesn't do too good, but there's like a medic on the Roshi that's able to help him a bit, so it'll patch up a bit better than Canon. But Mihawk does tell Luffy, like asking Luffy if he's stronger than Zoro. Luffy then says, he's like, I'm stronger than him. I can react faster than him too. So I just like give Luffy an example of his speed and strength, like of Mihawk's own speed and strength. Using his big blade, Luffy's barely able to react to any of that. But eventually Mihawk like blocks a kick from Luffy using Yoru, and then he's still sent flying almost into the water. Mihawk's able to catch himself and call Luffy very impressive compared to Zoro. But just tell Luffy about observation hockey. Basically, it's like sensing sensing everything around you. But he points to Zoro, saying, once he wakes up, tell him about that, and trust me, he will have the hawk eyes. Eventually, he gets back on his boat and sails away. So yeah. So with this, well, we can just go on to we're probably just go to the Strats heading to Arlong Park. Like, first they beat up Momu, but then we have to now we just hit Arlong Park and can tell that Arlong is in there because the villagers aren't like running rampant or running around. It's pretty empty like usual, or they're in their houses. But Nami would eventually tell them to move the ship here. They do that, and Arlong does see the ship, but isn't too concerned about it. But then he sees a giant cannonball heading towards them, and before they can even react, it hits Arlong Park. There being a muggy ball, it gets able to blow up a building, and Arlong Park is just one building and a bit of a dock. It's a pretty small space compared to a giant building that Buggy blew up before. So, as soon as Muggy Ball hits it, most of Arlong Park is decimated. Like Arlong is killed in this blast, leaving Hachi, Kurubi, and some miscellaneous fishmen who are still kind of injured. Then, in the midst of them getting up and just being pretty injured, it's Hachi gets up. He's has a gun barrel pointed to his head via Gen. Hachi eventually just passes out, and Gen has some morals, not killing an unconscious man. He's about to be attacked by Kurubi, but Kurubi being too injured to even have human level strength, is just shot right in the neck, and then just over and over again by the villager, so he's dead. But Hachi, they're focused on killing Kurubi, he just calls in the water and swims away. The question who did this, Nami walks out, saying, it's about time you all died. The question of Nami did this, she says, well, yeah, her captain let her. She points on to this rat ship, and Luffy is waving from the distance. They do question how she got here, so she points down in the ocean saying Momu. And then they're oh, that makes sense. Momu, by the way, is the giant sea bull guy. It's yeah. But yeah, basically the whole Arlong Park is just blown up via Muggy Ball. By the way, their ship is kind of repainted and then professionally painted over by a Mary in Strat Village. So it looks like the Strat ship that they want. It's just bigger. No, they already have a lot of money on it. With Arlong Park and Arlong Park arc ending in 15 minutes, there's party for 3 days straight, then leave. But they hit the log town. That arc is basically no different. But when Luffy sees Dragon protecting him, he just calls Dragon Dad, then leaves. He's oh, thanks, Dad, and runs off. But then Smoker hears Luffy call Dragon Dad and reports that to Sengoku, which already helps Luffy's bounty of just him blowing up Arlong Park. Beating Don Krieg still with really no difficulty. In this one, Luffy's really he's not poisoned at all. Won't Don Krieg to try to use poison, he just shoved him into the ocean. But his arm got touched by a lot of poison, which should burn him a bit and give him a bit of poison resistance, but not too much. It's more acid resistance, not poison resistance. But well, yeah, they're kind of like that, or debuffing resistance, not exactly poison. But yeah. So with this, well, I guess we can have them go over Reverse Mountain, which is pretty much the same. And every single arc up until Alabasta remained no different. One difference is, if there's a fight, it ends in 2 seconds. In this one, Luffy never fought Zoro because he knows that Zoro is a man of reason. Well, sometimes, most of the time he is. So, yeah, he trusts Zoro in attacking the villagers, but does question him. And then if he doesn't like the answer, then he'll beat him up. So, yeah. When he hears Zoro's answer, then sees the villagers holding knives and stuff, he believes it. So with this, Luffy does just go about and then beat up Mr. 5 and everyone else till they get to Alabasta. When Luffy would canonically die against, not die, but canonically get stabbed against Crocodile, Luffy this one isn't stabbed, but it's like now Zoro has a cut going from like left to right. Luffy's cut like Zoro has like that one cut that goes from like his I guess like left part of collarbone all the way down to like his right hip, right side of his hip. Luffy has a cut going from like his right side of his collarbone all the way down to like the left side of his hip. Probably was like stabbed him there, then just dragged the blade down. It wasn't like deep cut, not a deep stab, but still it was like just cut him open. But Crocodile was still pretty impressed with how strong Luffy was, because, well, Luffy wasn't able to figure out the Logia fruit weakness, and Crocodile caught him, but still pretty winded. But it's like just straight up just cut him open. Luffy like gusted to spill out, but he was still bleeding in the middle of the desert until Robin was able to bring him to a doctor, and he stitched up. But trying to know where Luffy is, like some of them watched it, but they couldn't keep up with where Robin was going. Eventually, Zoro and Chopper are the most concerned, and the whole crew's concerned with Chopper and Zoro show the most concern. They find Luffy like in a hospital in like Alabasta with Ace that is like sitting over him. And this Ace what happened, Ace just says he fought Crocodile and ended up like this. Now they do question who Ace is, and Ace is like, well, at this point I'm pretty sure they've met Ace. So, Ace does say that Luffy probably needs to learn the Logia fruit weakness first. So Luffy is like aware of the types of devil fruits, but isn't aware of their weaknesses. Like he's aware of some of the weaknesses, but he's thinking about sand weakness. All he can think of is like heat. That's why he used Gear Second only. But then he tired out Crocodile, but then tired himself out at the same time. So yeah, this fight was basically the equivalent of Weightless Rock Lee versus Gaara in the tuning exams. Basically that equivalent. Like yeah, sure. Luffy's beating his ass, but he ran out of stamina because he didn't know what to do to make a weakness, and instead just wasted energy like a fool. Well, Rocket and Ace didn't waste energy like a fool. Gar's overpowered, but Crocodile was able to use their sand defense or just not be hit at all. So, yeah. But eventually Luffy did wake up and then just began asking everyone, like, what could be Sand's weakness besides heat? But then he feels something on his head as he, pulls off a straw hat, grabs a note. It's from Robin, and she then says, beat him with water. Luffy then just questions this because he didn't feel it earlier, but then it appeared randomly. He jumped up, then just turned around, questioning where Robin was. And Luffy ends up basically meditating on not meditating, but just feeling the air around him. Tell everyone shut up, don't breathe or anything, hold your breath. Just that till Luffy briefly tapped into something. And Luffy suddenly went to the hole through his wall and grabbed something. Not through his wall, but through the wall, through an alley, pulling someone in, and it was Robin. Robin ended up chuckling, and this when Luffy says, Why are you betraying your own boss? Robin says, he's not my boss, he's just a means to an end. He's a warlord, so no one messes with me. We say the reason in that is Crocodile is a pretty big dick. He is a dick. That sounded so wrong. I'm so sorry about that. He is a big dick, I guess. But yeah. But Luffy actually makes it about with Robin. Let's go fight Crocodile. If he loses without getting touched once, just to join his crew. He doesn't think Luffy could do this with how foolish he was in Crocodile, but still, he seems like a trustworthy type, either way. Pause. So Robin thinks that Luffy's trustworthy and agrees to the bet. Eventually Luffy does fight Crocodile next time, but is still flying on Pell. Or gliding on top of Pell while Pell flies. Now with this, Zoro does fight Mr. 1, but one thing, the Trust still fight the same people, just the only difference is they all train, because it's very beneficial. And Luffy also does make them study a bit, because he does say the brain is like a good muscle to train. Luffy does have the stupid moments, because he rarely ever thinks, but when he does, well, he's actually decently average for intelligence. It's just he needs to think more. But, yeah. Oh, we just know canonical Luffy is flat out dumb, but battle intelligence, he's good canonically. But, yeah, so Zoro does fight Mr. 1, and Zoro is actually evading all the attacks like it's nothing, not even using, his swords to block or anything. And Mr. 1, will go for, a slash. Zoro straight up just grab his arm, and before he can, just grabs and twists. Which shows him in the air, then kicks him away. But Zoro does eventually just jump up, and then use technique that Luffy taught him via karate. And Luffy does say his technique, it does take a bit of focus, and it does hurt like hell. When you're trained, it hurts like hell. Zoro isn't really trained at all. Zoro ends up using Kyokushin Karate and then yells, Fist of Black Turtle. This Mr. 1 tries to block it with his fisted hand. Not fisted, bladed hand. Then Zoro would punch it with his fist being coated in Tekai, but he's never used it before, so it hurts a lot. But then it also just hurts using his technique and not having any training. Then Mr. One sent flying away, but then just bounced off the ground so hard it knocked him out. Then Zoro just looked at his fist, there's a bit of blood on it. Like, he cut his hand, like cut his palm, then cut his knuckle. But, yeah. Mr. One's just on the ground with the fist imprint in his arm and a broken arm while he's just unconscious. Nami versus Miss Golden Week, Nami's able to avoid a lot of her attacks, or basically just be able to avoid her, like, just either way. But then just hits her with a climb attack, and that just knocks her out immediately, without using any climb attack ability. He's smart enough to not even use a weapon she's never even touched before, so, yeah. Usopp versus Mr. 4. It pretty much goes the same as in canon, just Usopp isn't in a full body cast, but he's more like in a, he's more on like just like one arm cast, and then just like one arm cast, and then that's really just it. That's because Usopp played for him to catch a ball, and it just broke his arm. So, yeah. Chopper versus Miss Golden Week was relatively the same. Golden Week, I mean, Chopper versus Miss Merry Christmas was pretty much the same. Sanji versus versus Miss less Mr. 2. Brush isn't canon. Brush isn't canon. It's just Sanji able to avoid a lot more attacks and doesn't take a single hit. But now Luffy versus Crocodile. Luffy basically is like his Kimabella dropping. Luffy basically just like cracked open a barrel of water on him and Pell. But then Pell had, as he like falling to Crocodile, he's falling to Crocodile first. He turned into a bird, flopping all the water on Crocodile. Crocodile noticed his sand was a lot harder to transform into, so he's punched and faced by Luffy. But then he's turning to sand a bit, but it's harder to. But then Luffy's coated in water, so he's basically just decked by Luffy, who's a lot stronger than canon. Like physically, he's just a demon. First time flying back, eventually crashed into a wall. Luffy would then tell Pell jump in the air, or basically carry him into the air. He'll do just that, carrying Luffy by his feet. Luffy's carried high enough up, so he basically just went gear third. Then throws his fist into the building as hard as he can, on top of Crocodile, while his fist has a little bit of water on it. Then Evan sees Luffy flying in a giant castle, and then the building that's about to explode. Pell saw the same thing, but then Luffy was also with him. Because the bomb's about like 5 seconds. Luffy basically just not 2 seconds, like 2 seconds. Luffy basically just rocketed it far away from them with the shockwave and just knocked them both out. Then Zoro jumped in the air, catching Luffy and Pell. So yeah. They landed, and Robin saw Crocodile knocked out, and Luffy's only wounds were from the business were like shrapnel from the bomb. So yeah. So she applauds Luffy and then says she's joining the crew now. And they thank Robin for joining and believing in the captain. But Zoro does say like if Robin makes like just one little mistake that seems like she's going to betray them, he will put her down with no remorse. Really, like the small scuffle between him and Sanji. But Zoro's basically just one tap Sanji. Like, Taylor just one taps him because Zoro saw a technique via Luffy. So Zoro just one tap Sanji with that attack. It does hurt his arm a lot more, but yeah. Now the way for Zoro treatment is basically just put his hand in a giant ice bath, like basically just stitch his hand up because it was cut. It was like his knuckles didn't have a severe cut because of Tekai, but then Zoro's palm was still cut open. Because he caught a blade and then twisted it, so the wound was very messed up. Like Zoro's hands like stitched shut, then he has to put it in an ice bath. It's because his tech guy is training his arm so badly. Nami is basically unscathed. Sanji has like a bit like bruises, which is just an ice bath. So basically, Sanji's like just in the middle of ice bath, like wearing shorts, while Zoro just has his hand in the water just because he has to be. And then we have like Usopp just with a broken arm, which Chopper just put a cast on it earlier. So yeah. But with this, we can just move on to, like, I guess Jaya, which is really no different. But Nami doesn't know Luffy's smart, so she doesn't tell him don't get in trouble. All she just says is just make smart choices. But Luffy doesn't think a lot, so with Bellamy, Luffy basically just beat the dog shit out of Bellamy in the bar with no remorse. And basically, like, oh, it needed a gut, a kick to the face, just beating Bellamy senseless in the middle, like in front of his whole crew. And Luffy's done. Zoro had basically took down all Bellamy's whole crew with no effort. And Zoro basically just covered in bandages because the cut got like Zoro reopened the cut because he like when he had his arm in the bath, poked Sanji, which led to a fight. And so Sanji reopened Zoro's stitches, and basically just his arms turned even a bit more. Those arms basically covered in a whole like just cast, In a sense, then Zoro with like just one arm just took on Bellamy's whole crew. Even his right hand man, and Luffy just basically just one tap Bellamy and just didn't stop one tapping him over and over again. So like, yeah. But other than that, the rest of the arc remains the same. Like when it came to like Luffy in Skypiea ended relatively quickly. Like when Luffy first encountered Enel, Luffy basically used Soru in Gear Second, just basically just one tapped him in the back of the head, and it knocked him out on impact. Luffy just simply just that fast. Like just like basically just one tap, and he's done. That ended the whole arc right then and there. So the dry arc ended relatively quickly, and then Zoro can basically react to Enel, and like Mihawk said, it looks like she's like kind of somewhat cut through lightning, or and it scared off Enel. So yeah, I think addition that did zap Zoro a bit, but yeah. But he scared off Enel. But then as they head back down to the ground, they do encounter Aokiji. But as Aokiji would try to basically freeze Luffy with this like ice sword, I guess, thing. Luffy was able to basically use your second and basically use like the shockwave of it to send Aokiji back a bit. But then Aokiji was fighting Luffy seriously, just to give him a bit of like I'll show you a bit of effort. But then Luffy was properly tapping an observation for the first time, and able to dodge Aokiji's attack and just land not a hit, but Aokiji's able to block the attack and get sent flying back still. So his hand, seeing some steam coming off it. But then before he can look down, he's almost punched right in the face. He dodges it, but then just realizes that Luffy's using observation. Eventually Luffy's observation timed out and he's kicked right into the ocean by Aokiji. But Chopper just watched this, and then Zoro just jumped right at Luffy, just catching him. So yeah. Aokiji did warn Robin about CP9. Also, when Robin is frozen, Luffy just went Gear Second and just it was kind of like her stomach till the heat just basically melted her. Not the heat, I mean melted her, but till the heat melted the ice. Now with this, the Straws do eventually just go and they had Water 7. Biggest difference is when Sanji was fighting most of like CP9 on the ship. One, Robin isn't with them. She's warned the Straw Hats. Sanji happened to be like chasing one of them, like happened to be chasing Kaku. Kaku tried to abduct Robin. So basically, Sanji was fighting Kaku, then not Kaku. Was fighting Kaku, then Kaku ran away. I don't know why I almost said Chopper. Kaku ran away, so he chased him, and then he basically just ran and then kicked his way into the train. So yeah. But Robin means the same till he fights like CP9 himself. But then he's using a technique that Luffy taught him, which is Soru. Luffy taught Zoro Tekai, and then Sanji had learned Soru, so yeah. Luffy had mastered both of the techniques. So with this, Sanji's using his newly average use of Soru, began avoiding like Kaku. But with Sanji's physical strength, outmatching Kaku, he's actually able to block one of his attacks and then kick Kaku right in the chest. But Kaku realizing how much force that was around that kick, he just has the wind knocked right out of him, and then just passes out. Well, then Sanji basically begins fighting the rest of the crew until Blue No gets the best of him by holding him back to the door fruit, and then Lucy just like Shigans him like 4 times and just he throws him off the train. I mean, luckily Sanji's about to basically plummet into the ocean and die from blood loss. He's caught by someone, doesn't see who it is. But suddenly, just realizes he's not moving, and then something grabs him. He's suddenly just yanked onto the train, and he's loosening over him with Robin having activated her devil fruit. Luffy calls Sanji an idiot for rushing off without them, and they could have died. Pepper being helping Sanji heal, and Zoro doesn't call Sanji his rival, and this one Zoro then says he'll not let anyone kill Sanji but him. So he jumps on top of the boat, and then just says that he'll finish off the whole Cypher Pole crew by himself. Zoro then just yelled Onigiri and slashed, clinging to the train, cutting it in half. The other train. But he looks up, seeing someone blocked it halfway through, seeing Lucci. Zoro ended up basically just saying that Lucci may have a better tech eye, but he can't unmuscle him ever in his life. So eventually just yelled full power Onigiri, and Lucci realizes his arms have severe cuts in them now, and Lucci can't even move his arms. Then he's kicked right in the side by Zoro, and sent him flying out the window. Luno was able to catch him and pull him into the door, pull him in through a door. As Luno had finished pulling Lucci out, he's punched right in the face by Luffy. That Luffy and Zoro basically just tag team the whole Cypher Pole group as they're already pretty weakened from Sanji. They beat them down with no effort. But then they finished, they arrived at Annie's lobby, they were already pretty close to there. But then Luffy then tells Zoro that they should just finish the job full way through. Luffy took off his vest, and then the whole Riot crew besides Sanji was just ready to beat down everyone. Plus a bit of the Frankie family, Frankie himself, and Galilea. Now these forces combined, Luffy and Zoro were all that's needed, but the rest of them were just overkill. They take down all of Annie's lobby. No butcher call is called because when Spandam tried, Robin basically just tore his kiwis out of the kiwi container. So yeah. Long story short, Spandam is now a kiwi-less man. And yeah. Plus, Zoro kind of like just stomped on Spandam's sword, not realizing it was basically alive, and he killed Spandam's sword. I don't realize that until like halfway through, and just felt really bad about it. Chopper's like, "You killed an elephant," and Zoro just felt really bad about it. So yeah. But with that, Kuzan was just amazed that they dealt with Annie's lobby itself that fast. They even sank half of it. So yeah. Like half of it just through just Luffy going like full power, your third punch on the island, just sending half of it into the ocean. So yeah, he was able to fall into Monster Point. Chopper caught him. Chopper's like a minute of control Monster Point. So yeah. So with that, they just leave, fearing that the rest of the island may sink. But with this, they eventually do leave. They're just amazed. But yeah. Now with this, we go into the bark. Honestly, this arc is actually really no different than in canon. It's just when it comes down to Luffy versus Moria, where Luffy's getting Shadow Stolen, the biggest difference. Luffy doesn't have Shadow Stolen one at all. The moment Moria tried to steal Luffy's Shadow, he immediately basically just activated Gear 3rd, but in his legs. Like the way he did it, basically just like a gag moment. He would basically just pinch himself so hard that he made just a deep wound, and he just blew he made basically stretch his lips out. And it was really hard to do. He blew into his leg, which confused Moria, so he basically just expanded, hitting Moria right in the face and breaking the scissors. But Luffy landed, then kicked Moria around with his giant leg. By the time he's done, he basically just suplexed Moria out of Moria's basically whole castle thing and right into the ground. Then Moria got back up, ready to fight Luffy, and this looks like an epic Titan versus human clash. Luffy being the human in this one. I feel like there's a shadow comparison. We see Moria as a small, frail man, but Luffy's just the Titan in the fight. But Luffy basically just jumped right over Moria, grabbing him by his hair, and then just slammed him right through the whole building with no effort. This Moria's basically crushing ores as he's being flung down with such force, to the point where he crushed ores as his whole body, bone and all. Eventually Luffy drops Moria, and Moria's on the ground with blood just foaming at his mouth, with blood coming out of basically every part of his body. He's covered in sweat because he's basically just nervous. We see Zoro versus Ryuma, where Zoro basically speedblitz Ryuma and cut his arms off with no effort. Because Ryuma and Zoro clash, but Zoro didn't expect a black blade and shattered Yubashiri on it. But then Ryuma tried to take advantage of Zoro's confusion, so Zoro spun around, cutting off his hands with Wado, and then basically twirling it, and then began turning Ryuma's arms into sushi. But Ryuma's last words before he just basically went out of existence is, well, take Shisui back to Wano. He just says that. Keep it or take it back to Wano. And Zoro just took it. So, yeah. Zoro is now intrigued by this Wano place. So with this, they basically end the arc. They leave before Kuma even confronted them. Because when Kuma tried, Kuma is beaten. So, not beaten, but they'll be pushed back and they all just retreat. The last one left is Luffy, because he told them all to retreat. So yeah. Pause. So Kuma is able to be briefly pushed back by Luffy. But then basically Luffy is able to use Kuma's momentum against him and just shove himself, escape rockets himself all the way onto his ship. When he lands, Zoro's able to catch Luffy and pull him on board. So yeah. Once they sail away, Kuma could easily catch them, but he decides to let them go till Sabaody. He knows something will happen with them. So he just knows, so he'll wait till then. Sabaody, there's really no differences in Sabaody at all. None. Yeah, Luffy's stronger, sure, doesn't matter at all. Not one bit. They cannot outmuscle Kizaru. The biggest difference is Luffy's bounty is equal to Kid. That's the one difference of the series. Luffy's bounty is equal to Kid's, maybe even greater at 320 million. I'll say 320 million for his highest bounty. 5 million higher than Kid's. That's the biggest difference of this arc. He's the strongest supernova and the only awakened one. Possibly Blackbeard, but we will never know. Probably not Blackbeard. He's had this fruit for like 2 years. Actually, not even 2 years. He has fruit for like a month, like 2-3 months. But yeah. But we can move on to Marineford, where the only difference would come into play. Like there's no difference in any of these arcs. Like until Marineford, the biggest difference is that like yeah, the difference is in Marineford is by the time that Ace would actually die, Luffy would activate just Gear 5th or his awakening for the second time in his life. Was his awakening is actually able to outspeed Aki Inu and pull himself and Ace away while grabbing the Vivre card. While grabbing it, not from grabbing it, but yeah. Then Ace in safety, Ace looks up at Luffy, and then sees the Gear 5th. We end up smirking at Aki Inu as his Shirahito alone is melting the ice. Luffy, Shirahito, and a bit of Aki Inu's. But Luffy looks at the ice and then smirks as him and Aki Inu being clashing in that exact same spot. So Aki Inu realizes that one of his feet had basically slipped and then fell in the water. He's confused. Suddenly, in the midst of this confusion, one of Luffy's speculated abilities so far is turning people or giving people rubbery, I guess, attributes. Luffy using that attribute they can somewhat do, slams his head in Aki Inu's, sending Aki Inu straight into the ice. As Ace would fly over, catching Luffy, and just lands right now on the ice as Aki Inu's basically just drowning until Son Goku would jump and grab him. But as Aki Inu's pulled up, Garp was let go, and Garp would punch Aki Inu right in the chest, and send him and Son Goku flying into the red line. But Garp then actually being turning his attention towards Luffy and Ace, Luffy and Garp being clashing. But Garp, even if he uses Haki, cannot outmatch Luffy's rubbery thing, and to be able to just get his life beat out of him by Luffy because he having his Haki disabled by Luffy's awakening power. Luffy basically battles the whole force of the Marines, and Whitebeard doesn't die. Ace isn't dead. Basically, Whitebeard just takes a seat by taking like a hunk off of the Moby Dick and sitting on it. So with this, basically, the Marines are just all being pushed back by Luffy and Ace alone. Even Marco joined in by healing Ace and then healing Luffy at the same time. So they're both restored to full power and just being down the Marines. But Marco does take into account that Luffy's Year 5th is training, so he just focuses all his heat all his power onto Luffy mainly. Which does actually allow Luffy to keep going a lot more. Like, if you're playing a game, there's a healer, and the healer focuses all their healing power on, like, the strongest guy on the team, or the guy with the best attack power, where, like, if they restore the stamina and everything. Basically, Marco's doing that to Luffy, where he's, like, just spamming full health on him. Full health, full AP, and everything. Until Shanks had arrived, and Marco stopped. But Luffy's just disabled. Well, the whole Marine Force was pushed back by Luffy alone, and everyone watched it happen. Like, even Shanks had stopped to watch it. And so also Shanks didn't lose an arm, so Shanks is just there still. Which actually does make Mihawk more reluctant to fight, saying, "No, but you didn't say I'd fight him. You said I'd fight a few of Whitebeard's crew, not some kid with this blade that they can clash with me. Not kid, but some guy who's my rival." So yeah. But with this, we can just go on and see like I guess we can go and see Luffy and Shanks reunite while Luffy's awake, actually. But eventually, Law points out that Luffy doesn't have any ways to escape. And she just tells Luffy and Ace to get into his ship. And not ship, but a submarine. They sail away. And, well, Ace doesn't want to go, so Whitebeard just told him to go. And Shanks offered to give Whitebeard a ride, even though it'd be pretty hard. But Sengoku then yelled, saying he'll give them a marine ship if they just leave. And they agree. They have them a marine ship fit enough for giants. So Garp rides on that. While Law ends up tending to Luffy and Ace's very much strained bodies. Luffy and Ace fist bump, and then they both just pass out just through sheer exhaustion despite Marco spamming healing them. But yeah. And Law doesn't want to admit it out loud, but Luffy's display at Marineford was probably the most badass thing he's ever seen. And the whole world saw Luffy push back the whole Marine force at Marineford single-handedly. But when Whitebeard does eventually die, like a year later during the time skip, Ace does give up being a pirate, but does train alongside Luffy. So, yeah. So with this, well, I don't really know what else to do. We can probably just go on to, like, just the two times it's happening. Just Luffy trying to Shanks for like 8 months, then went on to train with Rayleigh. So, yeah. Well, when Mihawk told Zoro about like Luffy's whole thing, like Luffy perfect basically the whole force of the Marines by himself. Well, one, Luffy's bounty got a giant increase from that feat alone. But Garp also did get in trouble. I mean, he was threatening to be kicked out till Garp says he wants to quit either way. So yeah. Also, Aki Inu is recovering from being headbutted by Luffy, and he wasn't able to use Haki or anything to defend himself against someone as strong as Luffy himself. Like, I doubt Aki Inu has had to train his durability with his Logia and Haki for a long time. Like, I'm guaranteed that headbutt had put Aki Inu out of commission for at least like 3 months, which with a concussion. So the whole fight between him and Kazuma didn't happen, and instead, well, with the debate going on and Aki Inu being the one who was beaten up by a rubber kid without Haki, the votes were in Kuzan's favor. Kuzan is a new fleet admiral just through sheer votes. People thinking that Aki Inu's weak because he got beaten up by Luffy. So yeah. Zoro trains a lot harder to catch up to his captain, and plus he's already really strong as in canon, like in canon. So yeah. But eventually we go into Luffy, who had basically just finished up his training and ready to trade for the whole year and 1/4. So yeah. So with this, they thought to reunite. No arc is really that different at all, really. Like, the biggest difference is they end in like 80%, like 8% less time. Like when it came to Sabaody, when it came to Fishman Island, Luffy ended that arc in like 15 minutes. Vanderdecken was easy to beat down because just Luffy's awakening, just one giant attack from halfway across Fishman Island was able to reach him. Luffy can stretch a lot longer. He has better Haki because of Shanks and then Rayleigh both training him. Like different times, they still both trained him. Luffy just training just to control his awakening was enough to boost his length, his power to just stretch farther. Luffy is just a complete demon when it comes to his powers. So he ends basically every arc in less time. Then when it came all the way down to I'd say probably just Dressrosa. The biggest difference is when it came to Luffy about to fight Doflamingo. Doflamingo told Luffy like go all out. I awaken Mama for use your awakening. Doesn't Luffy has one. But Doflamingo just to keep into account. Luffy hasn't even used anything beyond Gear Second this whole fight. Nothing beyond Gear Second. Luffy ended up laughing Doflamingo saying if he uses Gear 5th, he'll kill him. Doflamingo didn't believe Luffy. Luffy just suddenly shot into Gear 5th and then just beat down Doflamingo. Literally about to kill him until he just dispersed it. So Doflamingo, just don't ask for him to use his awakening again. So Gear 5th substituted to Gear 4th. Luffy still has Gear 4th and everything, but still, it doesn't really matter. At all, really. Alright, but that's really just Rosa. Pause real quick. So Luffy, after like Marineford was already shot up to 700 million for pushing back the whole Marine force, which I think is honestly really good. So Luffy's bounty went from like 300 million to 500 million. So yeah. So Luffy's bounty would go up to like 1.3 billion. No, 1.03 billion. So still pretty high, honestly. But some extra he's already in the billions. But then they move on to Zou with Kinemon, Kanjuro, and Momonosuke with them. But they still have the Sunny. It's just a lot bigger. They still have that whole ship. Nothing different is happening for a really long time, and I don't like it. The biggest difference is Luffy is using his Gear 5th more than Gear 4th. Like I don't see many changes in the fight at Whole Cake Island until Luffy, like with Cracker, Luffy sped through them like they were nothing. Like just nothing, he sped through them all. When it came to Luffy fighting Big Mom's whole family, he did that and then just walked off like he was completely fine because he didn't need to even use anything beyond his regular form. Sanji is confident in Luffy fighting against Big Mom on par with her because he's an awakened Devil Fruit user. Plus, he's the best at Haki on the whole ship. Conquerors, Ornament Haki. He's on the verge of unlocking Ryuo at this point. Like Luffy's observation is evolving in the middle of that fight. Sanji is like confident in abandoning his family and abandoning his wedding just to go back to Luffy. And the time that Sanji would originally just like, well, that Cracker is not Cracker. I mean that planning on like betraying him. The time he figured that out, he's actually just with Luffy, just supporting their attack on Big Mom. So yeah, all of a sudden that Sanji was supposed to be at his wedding, he didn't show up. And the question what happened till Luffy just burst in and he just started turning on Big Mom until he just went in gear 5th. It shocked her. She hasn't seen it in person, or didn't even see the report on like Marineford or anything. She's actually just seen an awakening, like an awakened user, and Luffy just being fighting Big Mom. And in the middle of the fight, he had evolved his haki, like his observation and his ornament haki. They began using Rio for the first time, and began using like his foresight for the first time. Well, he's actually able to basically just beat Big Mom and just hit her a dozen times. But after the fight, he tired himself out and just disabled his awakening. But still, Big Mom was hit consecutively with Luffy's whole like deflecting thing with rubber, or turning her into rubber temporarily. Not turning her into rubber, giving like rubber properties. We think the Big Mom actually being about as tired as Luffy is, and they both just pass out from exhaustion. Katakuri fought Sanji, which is actually a more even fight than most people would think. So it still basically ended like same way that Luffy versus Katakuri ended as in canon. It's the same way that Luffy versus the same way that Sanji versus Luffy versus Katakuri ended as in canon is the same way that it ended between Sanji and Katakuri now. It's the same way it ended that same way. Sanji had better fine-tuned observation than basically anyone on the crew besides Luffy. So when Katakuri, that fight is basically just the exact same. It's just Sanji didn't have foresight. He was just evolving his haki. But Katakuri just wanted to pass out because Sanji had better endurance than him. So yeah. But eventually, with Big Mom on the ground, not able to just fight anymore, well, the crew basically focused on getting Big Mom out of there more than like attacking the Straw Hat crew. So the Straw Hats are able to escape, and Jinbei has to Wano with them. It was just make a big change in them figuring out everything they need to. So when Kaido doesn't want to actually like eliminate the Straw Hats and Wano with a Boro breath, we should have just dug into the ground and turned it into rubber, and then deflected the Boro breath right at Kaido, hitting him head on. This lead to awaken Luffy versus Kaido and Wano, which is going about as the same as it is in the manga. Just Luffy isn't using Conqueror's Haki coding, he's just using basic Haki, like Ryuo and everything. Not basic Haki, but just Ryuo. Because he learned how to control it, so, yeah. But actually Luffy did pass out just through exhaustion while Kaido was just, like, pantsing and sweating. So, yeah. Luffy didn't have Conqueror's Haki coding, which should kind of give him, like, a debuff. He's about to Udon prison, but the whole Straw Hat crew's okay, and they basically kill the guards, or Zoro and Law do. That's just it. But then when it comes to the attack on Onigashima, Luffy's a lot stronger, and this attack, Luffy has Awakening under control. There's no difference in this fight until it comes down to King and Queen versus Sanji and Zoro. Sanji basically beat the mess out of Queen, like, a lot easier than in canon. Then Zoro just basically one-shot King. Like, he already has Conquer Lock. He can use Ryuo basically at this point. Like, by the time Wano began, Zoro began tapping into Ryuo as well. Luffy just taught him how to use it when they reunited. Zoro's already fine-tuned with Ryuo. They have to figure out how to like just use it more often and then evolve it, which will lead to them unintentionally discovering Conquer Haki coding, where Zoro used to conquer Enma. Then you cut down King in one slash. Like that 5 minutes into that fight, King is defeated. 5 minutes into the fight. 3 minutes into Sanji, Queen's defeated. Then when it came to Luffy, Law, and all of them versus Kaido, Luffy won that fight single-handedly. He did not have any difference. That fight is literally just stronger, awakened Luffy beating Kaido for the whole time. Kaido didn't get time to go into homicidal drunk or anything. Didn't get time to go hybrid. Big Mom was taken down by awakened Law and Kid. Like, that fight, it's just abuse at this point with how much Kaido is caught off guard. So Kaido's just defeated by Luffy because he's off guard, not expecting him to open up with his awakening. So yeah, Kaido was defeated a lot earlier due to him just being off guard, and Onigashima isn't even in the air yet. So this ended that arc easily because Kaido isn't focusing on Luffy. He's focusing on not focusing on awakening Luffy, focusing on gear 1, 2, 3, 4, no 5th yet. So Kaido wasn't aware of half of what Luffy did until he fought him at the mountain and thought that was Luffy awakening for the first time. He didn't hear anything about it because Linlin wasn't in Wano yet. She would have. She's like, oh yeah, Straw Hat beat me up, but didn't mention the gear 5th at all. So Kaido was just like, okay, you got beat up by Straw Hat, I'm stronger. So this arc basically ended because Kaido wasn't ready for the hands from Straw Hat Luffy. And honestly, I could go into this arc spewing BS about the next arcs being like, oh, Elbath, versus Blackbeard, giving the hat back to Shanks. I'm not gonna go that route just yet. I don't want to. I'm not that creative anymore because it'd take too much effort and it's late. Plus, it'd be sped through like everything else. But yeah, the second half of One Piece in this What If is just going to be Luffy speedrunning it. So yeah. So because I somewhat moderately enjoyed the first half, second half wasn't that enjoyable to do because there's really no difference. Besides Luffy just shortening it by most of the viewing time. So yeah, if you guys enjoyed the first half, goodbye.